4 days before it killed 125 people, a federal mine inspector marked the dam satisfactory. On February 26, 1972, at 8 a.m., that same dam on the Middle Fork of Buffalo Creek in Logan County, West Virginia, burst and sent 132 million gallons of black wastewater down a 17-mile hollow where 5,000 people lived. The wave crested 30 feet high. It moved at 30 miles an hour. It carried coal sludge, trees, houses, and cars. Go back to that morning. Picture heavy rain for 3 days. Picture 16 coal towns in a line. Now picture the water arriving with no warning siren, no spillway, no concrete. You are about to hear why the owners called it an act of God before the valley had buried its dead, and you will see why a government report later called it murder. Buffalo Creek is not a creek. It is a hollow, a narrow V-cut 17 miles long between steep Appalachian ridges. In early 1972, about 5,000 people lived there. That was 10% of Logan County. Over 1,000 miners lived on the creek. They made about $40 a day. Good pay then. 16 towns strung along the water like beads. Saunders at the top, Laredo, Conecuh, Lundale, Pardee, Man. Each town was a company town. Houses close to the creek, bridges close to the houses. The mine above them was the Buffalo Mining Company. It was owned by the Pittston Coal Company of New York. For years, the mine dumped coarse refuse into the Middle Fork. Rock, slate, slurry. The pile grew. It was not a dam drawn by an engineer. It was a wall built from what the mine threw away. Take that image. A valley that worked, and a dam above it made of garbage. The dam that failed was Dam 3, highest on the Middle Fork, about 46 feet high and 600 feet across. No concrete, no steel, no spillway, no engineering plan, no permit. A later Bureau of Mines report said the dams were not designed on thorough engineering. They were dumped on unstable waste. Fine silt like pudding, then coarse refuse on top. Water sat behind it. Investigators later called the failure piping and liquefaction. The wall dissolved from inside. 3 dams in a line. Dam 3 held 132 million gallons. Dam 2 and 1 below were smaller. If 3 went, they would go. People downstream saw leaks and dark water. No one with power acted. Between February 24th and 26th, 3.7 inches of rain fell on Logan County. The state climatologist later called that normal, not a freak storm. On the morning of the 26th, the man who ran Buffalo operations, Steve Dasovich, sent bulldozers to relieve pressure. Too late. At about 8:05 a.m., the dam failed. Water behind Dam 3 fell 253 feet to the valley in seconds. It took Dam 2, then Dam 1. That is the easy answer. Rain broke the dam. Pittston said exactly that. An act of God. But listen to what you heard. No spillway means even normal rain has nowhere to go. No engineer means no one calculated 132 million gallons at 30 feet high and 500 feet wide. 4 days earlier, a federal inspector marked this satisfactory. So was it rain? Or a dam that was never a dam? The flood hit Saunders first. A black wave cresting over 30 feet high, about 550 feet across. It moved down Buffalo Creek at up to 30 miles an hour. Houses were wood frame, many without foundations. The wave picked them up. It took cars. It took bridges. 10 bridges gone. 30 businesses gone. 507 houses destroyed. 44 mobile homes destroyed. 943 more houses and mobile homes damaged. 1,000 cars and trucks destroyed. Power lines, telephone lines, water lines, all gone. In 16 towns along the hollow, people had no warning, no siren, no evacuation order. Some heard a roar. Some saw a dark wall coming. Children were getting ready for school. Miners were already inside the mountain. Out of those 5,000 people, 125 were killed. 1,121 were injured. More than 4,000 were left homeless in minutes. Think what $1,000 buys in 1972. Property damage was estimated at $50 million then. That is about $290 million today. But the number that matters is smaller. 1 in 40 people who lived there that morning did not live that night. Go back to that hour. The water receded as fast as it came. It left mud a foot thick, coal-black slurry over everything. People dug with hands, with shovels. Neighbors carried neighbors up the hillsides. The roads were choked with debris. Phones were dead. It took hours for outside help to get in. Helicopters later found bodies miles downstream. Many were never identified by sight. The state sent National Guard, Volunteers came from Logan and Charleston. They found a valley where houses had been lifted off blocks and folded around trees, where a school bus sat in a living room, where a home had moved a mile. You would think the owner of the dam would be there that day. Pittston's officials were not. The company's first public words were not condolence. They were a legal phrase, an act of God. That phrase matters because it decides who pays and who is blamed. Pittston blamed the 3.7 inches of rain. That was their act of God defense. But 2 reports destroyed that defense within months. The governor's ad hoc commission of inquiry found Pittston had shown flagrant disregard for the safety of residents near coal refuse impoundments. It found the company in violation of federal mine safety regulations. A citizens' commission went further. It called the disaster a man-made disaster. It said the company was guilty of murdering at least 124 men, women, and children. The United States Bureau of Mines said the dams were dumped without engineering, built on soft foundations, without spillways, a disaster waiting for any rain. Think about that inspector who called Dam 3 satisfactory 4 days before. His checklist did not require an engineer. It did not require a spillway. So the system passed a dam that could not pass water. You might say, okay, it was negligence, not nature. But you might still think, surely they paid. They did not. Not at first, and not fairly. So 645 survivors and families hired a young Washington lawyer who had never tried a disaster case, Gerald Stern. He worked for Arnold and Porter. He flew to Logan County and asked people not just what they lost. He asked how they felt. He sued Pittston for more than loss of houses. He sued for psychic injury, for fear, for grief, for being unwilling to live near water again. Pittston offered very little. The state sued Pittston for $100 million and settled for $1 million in 1973. Stern refused the first offers. In 1974, Pittston settled the survivors' cases for $13.5 million. That sounds large. Break it down. $5.5 million for death and property, $8 million for mental injury. Split among 625 people, that is about $13,000 each after fees. Some received more for a lost child. Some received almost nothing for a destroyed home. If you are thinking that is not justice, you are right. But it was also new law. Courts had rarely paid for being terrified to sleep. Now change the register for a moment. The water left, the mud stayed, and something else stayed longer. The sociologist who lived among the survivors for months afterward, Kai Erikson, called it collective trauma. He wrote a book named Everything in Its Path. He said the flood did not just destroy houses. It tore the tissue that held the hollow together. People who had lived door to door for generations were scattered into trailers and other valleys. They did not sleep. They jumped when it rained. Children would not drink tap water because it looked dark. One woman told Erikson she kept her dead daughter's wet dress because it was the last thing she touched. Another man said he could not go to church because his church was gone, and so were the people who sat near him. A follow-up medical study found many survivors still had severe anxiety and depression years later. 1 in 4 carried lasting psychiatric symptoms. Picture that. The valley was rebuilt, new houses on higher ground, but the map of who lived next to who was erased. The community did not flood. It broke. Pittston never admitted fault. It paid and called the payment compassion, not responsibility. The mine kept operating. The hollow kept mining. As late as 2022, federal data counted more than 300 coal slurry impoundments in Appalachia, many behind earthen walls like Buffalo Creek. Inspectors still find them with inadequate spillways, and Buffalo Creek itself is largely forgotten outside West Virginia. There is no national memorial on the creek. Textbooks skip it. The reason is not that it was small. 125 dead is larger than many hurricanes that get names. The reason may be who died. Poor miners in a hollow owned by an out-of-state company. The question Pittston asked a court to believe still hangs in the files. Was rain an act of God? Rain fell. The dam built from refuse fell faster. Which one would you put on the death certificate for a 7-year-old found in a tree a mile from her house? The rain did not decide to build a dam without a spillway. Someone did. And somewhere tonight, behind another hollow, water is sitting behind waste again.